Hello everyone. Now today we are going to do the poem The Cold Within by James Patrick Kinney. Now it's a very beautiful poem with a beautiful message at the end. The poem has got a moral, that is, men should love to love others. That is, love for all mankind. Now, as the title you can read, The Cold Within. Here, the poet is talking about how 6 human beings, they die of the cold within. Now, this poem, it revolves around 6 people who met by chance and they died not because of the cold outside but because of the cold within. Now the 6 of them, they meet by chance and they all gather around the fire which is about to die. That is, the fire needs more logs. Each of them had a log, but none of them give that log to the fire, and ultimately all of them die. So let's begin with the poem. Stanza 1. 6 humans trapped by happenstance in bleak and bitter cold. Now 6 humans. 6 humans here refers to the 6 human beings, 6 individuals trapped by happenstance. That means they are all strangers to each other. They don't know and they meet each other accidentally in bleak and bitter cold. Now see this word bleak and bitter cold, that suggests the extreme cold and bitterly cold situation which is so strong and so cruel, this cold, that it can even lead to the death of others. Each one possessed a stick of wood, or so the story is told. Now each one was holding a piece of wood in his hand. Now it's very this line has been told in the first stanza so as to arouse the curiosity of the readers, like why each one of them was holding a stick in his hand. Or so the story is told. So the story is told means this is a popular story which has been told from one generation to another. They are dying fire in need of logs. Dying fire. Dying fire means the fire is about to be extinguished. It needed more logs to burn. But the first one held hers back. First one is the first person. Held hers. Hers suggests that the person is a lady. For of the faces round the fire, she noticed one was black. Now this lady, when she looked around, she saw that one of the person who belonged to that group was a black one. Now here you can see the contrast. The lady is a white one and she sees another one who is black. So it is the discrimination of the whites against the blacks. So she notices that. The next man, looking across the way, saw not one of his church and couldn't bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. So now what happened? The first lady, because she was white and she saw a black person in the group, she did not give her log to the fire because she thought that why would she use her log to warm a black person. Now the first person is obviously a white woman. The next man, looking across the way, saw not one of his church. That means what? The second person, when he looks around, he found that there was not a single one person from his community. From his church means he is a Christian person, and he did not find anyone who was a Christian over there, and couldn't bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. Birch is a hardwood tree, and because he did not find anyone of the Christianity group, he decided not to use his fire, not to use his log so as to warm the people of other communities. The third one sat in tattered clothes. The third person, tattered clothes means a torn clothes, which shows that he's a poor person. He gave his coat a hitch. He just pushed, like tied his this coat carefully around him. He shook his coat. Why should his log be put to use to warm the idle rich? Now see, he's a poor person, so he just held his coat tightly so as to warm himself more. And he sees the rich person, and he again thinks that why should he let his log warm a rich person? Because you see, he's a poor person, and he thinks that it is the rich who are responsible for his poverty, and it is the rich who makes the poor suffer for no reason and makes them work hard. So this anger inside him that does not make him give his log to the fire. The rich man just sat back and thought of the wealth he had in store. Now the fourth person was the rich man, and he was thinking of all the money that he had and the wealth that he had in his possession, and how to keep what he had earned from the lazy, shiftless poor. Shiftless means idle, lazy again. Now he just looked around, he looked at the poor man, and he thought that these poor people, they are so lazy, they don't work hard at all, and they are jealous of the rich who work hard and earn their money. So that is why he decided that he must not use his log for the sake of the poor, and he does not give his log to the fire. The black man's face bespoke revenge. Now the next person was a black man. As the fire passed from his sight, for all he saw in his stick of wood was a chance to spite the white. Now see, the black man here, clearly from his face, from his expression, it is clear that he wants to take revenge from the whites. This is a reference to apathy, that is the racial discrimination, which was practiced by the whites against the blacks. The whites made the blacks their slaves and treated them very badly. So the blacks, they are having this strong grievances against the whites. That is why when this black man, he looked around and he saw a white person, he decided that he must use this opportunity to take revenge from the white by not giving his log to the fire, because the fire would warm the whites also. So he decided to use the situation to take revenge from the whites. The last man of this forlorn group did not accept for gain. The last man of this forlorn group, forlorn means the sad and lonely group, because nobody was talking. See, 6 of them were there, but none of them was talking to each other. And everybody was looking at the other one with suspicion. So it is referred to as the forlorn group. And the last man, he did not means here did nothing except for gain. Means he was a very selfish person who thought of nothing but himself. He did not do anything which would not bring him profit. Giving only to those who gave was how he played the game. So his idea and principle of life was to help those who will help you. Because he thought that if he give his log to the fire and help to warm others, what benefit would he get? And because he was a selfish man who did nothing except for profit, he did not give his wood to the fire. Their logs held tight in death's still hands was proof of human sin. So ultimately what happens, all the 6 people, they did not give their wood to the fire, and the fire died, and they also died because of the extreme cold. Now their logs held tight. This is a very ironical situation, because everybody was holding a log in his hand, and still they all died because the fire died for the want of more logs. while each one of them was having a log. So every one of them died. Was proof of human sin. Now what sin is referred to here? The sin of being inhuman. None of them showed any humanity. So this is the human sin which is referred to here. They didn't die from the cold without. They died from the cold within. So now the poet ends with the statement that these 6 people died not only because of the cold weather outside, but because of the lack of warmth in their hearts. Now, you must understand that this poem, the poet is wanting to give a very important message. Now, he has also used the characters very, all the 6 characters he has used very carefully. Like, so you see, he has represented 6 different type of people. Rich people, in contrast to that, he has poor people, then black against the whites, and then the rich against the poor. So he is actually trying to say that there are all different kind of prejudices in the society. We human beings, we have become so selfish, so individualistic, and so much entrapped by our prejudices that we have not risen above these petty little things which divides us. We differentiate between the people on the basis of caste, color, race, gender, sex, and that is what has made us inhuman. Now these 6 people who have gathered over there, they all had a law, but because of this lack of humanity in their hearts, none of them gave the log to the fire, and because of which the fire died and they all also died. So basically the poet is trying to say that we are nothing on our own. Each one is for the all, each for all. So if they would have given their logs to the fire, they would have lived. But because of their petty differences, because of the being jealous, being spiteful, being malicious, all these ills in their heart, they did not give their logs to the fire, and ultimately they all died. So actually this death was not due to the bitter cold outside, but due to the lack of humanity, lack of love for each other, lack of warmth for the other fellow beings. Thank you. Please keep watching, liking and subscribing the video.